The purpose of internet layer is to send source packets from any network on the internet network and have them arrive at the destination independent of the path and networks they took to get there. The specific protocol that governs this layer is called the internet protocol. Both path best path determination and packet switching occurs at this layer. The network access layer, also called the host to network layer, is concerned with all of the issues of physically delivering data packets using frames or cells. The difference between OSI and TCP/IP. TCP/IP combines the presentation and session layer issues into its application layer. TCP/IP combines the OSI data link and physical layer into one layer. It appears simpler because it has fewer layers. TCP/IP protocols are the standard around with the internet developed so the TCP/IP model gains credibility just because of its protocols. In contrast, typically network are not built on the OSI protocol even though the OSI model is used as a guide. Now let us see Cisco three-layer model. Cisco has defined a hierarchical model known as the hierarchical internet working model. This model simplifies the task of building a reliable, scalable, and less expensive hierarchical internet network because rather than focusing on packet construction, it focuses on the three functional areas or layers of your network. Core layer. This layer is considered the backbone of the network and includes the high-end switches and high-speed cables such as fiber cables. This layer of the network does not route traffic at the LAN. In addition, no packet manipulation is done by devices in this layer. Rather, this layer is concerned with the speed and ensures reliable delivery of the packets. Distribution layer. This layer includes LAN-based routers and layer 3 switches. This layer ensures that packets are properly routed between subnets and VLANs in your enterprise. This layer is also called the work group layer. It also provides policy-based network connectivity, including packet filtering, firewalling, processes packets and regulates the transmission of a packet based on its source and destination information to create network borders. QoS. The layer 3 switches can read packets and prioritize delivery based on the policy set. Access layer aggregation point. The layer serves the aggregation point for the desktop layer switches. Control broadcast and multicast. The layer serves as the boundary for broadcast and multicast domains. Application gateways. The layer allows you to create protocol gateways to and from different network architectures. The distribution layer also performs queuing and providing packet manipulation of the network traffic. Access layer. This layer includes hubs and switches. This layer is also called the desktop layer because it focuses on connecting client nodes such as workstations to the network. This layer ensures that packets are delivered to end user computers. At the access layer, you can enable MAC address filtering. It is possible to program a switch to allow only certain systems to access the connected LANs, create separate collision domains. A switch can create separate collision domains for each connected node to improve performance. Share bandwidth. You can allow the same network connection to handle all data. Handle switch bandwidth. You can move data from one network to another to perform load balancing. The benefits of the Cisco hierarchical model include high performance. You can design high performance networks where only certain layers are susceptible to congestion. Efficient management and troubleshooting allows you to efficiently organize network management and isolate cause of the network trouble. Policy creation. You can easily create policies and specify filters and rules. Scalability. You can grow the network easily by dividing your network into functional areas. Behavior prediction. When planning or managing a network, the model allows you to determine what will happen to the network when new stresses are placed on it. Now let us say signals, noise modulation and demodulation. Computers transmit data using digital signal sequence of specified voltage signals. Computers sometimes communicate over telephone lines using analog signals which are formed by continuously varying voltage levels. Electrical signals can be in analog or digital form. With analog signals, the amplitude changes continuously with respect to time with no breaks or discontinuities. A sine wave is the most basic analog signal. See the figure. Digital signals are described as discrete. Their amplitude maintains a constant level for a prescribed period of time and then it changes to another level. If only two levels are possible, it is called a binary signal. All binary signals are digital, but all digital signals are not necessarily binary. Converting information signal to a different form is called modulation and the reverse process is called demodulation. The modulating signal is the information and the signal being modulated is the carrier. Two basic types of electronic communication systems are analog and digital. An analog digital communication system is a communication system in which energy is transmitted and received in analog form and are also propagated through the system in analog form. Digital communications covers a broad range of communication techniques including digital transmission and digital modulation. Now let us see signal analysis. Mathematical signal analysis is used to analyze and predict the performance of the circuit on the basis of voltage distribution and frequency composition of the information signal, amplitude, frequency and phase. A cycle is one complete variation in the signal that and the period is the time the waveform takes to complete one cycle. One cycle constitutes 360 degrees. Sine waves can be described in terms of three parameters: amplitude, frequency and phase. Amplitude. It is analogous to magnitude or displacement. The amplitude of the signal is the magnitude of the signal at any point on the waveform. The amplitude of the electrical signal is generally measured in voltage. The maximum voltage of the signal is respect to its in respect to its average value is called its peak amplitude or peak voltage. See the figure. Now let us see frequency. The time of one cycle of a waveform is its period which is measured in seconds. Frequency is the number of cycles completed per second. The measurement unit for frequency is the hertz. Hz. 1 Hz is equal to 1 cycle per second. The frequency of the signal can be calculated from T is equal to 1 divided by F. Phase. The phase of the signal is measured in degrees or radians with respect to a reference point. A phase shift of 180 degree corresponds to a shift of half a cycle. Now let us see a phase shift of 360 degrees corresponds to a shift of one complete cycle. If two sine waves have the same frequency and occurs at the same time, they are said to be in phase or they are said to out of phase. The difference in phase can be measured in degrees and is called the phase angle theta. Periodic signals. A signal is periodic if it completes a pattern within a measurable time and is characterized by amplitude, frequency and phase. Mathematically, a single frequency voltage waveform is see the equation. It is called a periodic wave because it repeats at a uniform rate. A series of sine, cosine and square waves constitute an example of periodic waves which can be analyzed in either the time domain or the frequency domain. The time domain is a term used to describe the analysis of mathematical functions or physical signals with respect to time. In the time domain, the signals or the function's value is known for all the real numbers. For the case of continuous time or at various separate instants. In the case of discrete time, a oscilloscope is a time domain tool commonly used to visualize real world signals in the time domain. A time domain graph show how a signal changes over time. Now let us say frequency domain. Frequency domain is a term used to describe the analysis of mathematical functions or signals with respect to frequency rather than time. A spectrum analyzer is a frequency domain instrument which displays amplitude versus frequency plot called the frequency spectrum. The horizontal axis represents frequency and the vertical axis amplitude, showing a vertical deflection for each frequency present in the waveform, which is proportional to the amplitude of the frequency it represents. See the figure. Now let us say complex signals. Any repetitive waveform that is comprised of more than one harmonically related sine or cosine wave is called a non-sinusoidal complex wave. Fourier series is used to analyze the complex period waves. Fourier series. The Fourier series is used in signal analysis to represent the sinusoidal components of non-sinusoidal period waveforms. A Fourier series decomposes a periodic function or periodic signal into a sum of simple oscillating functions, namely sines and cosines. It can be expressed as see the figure, where alpha is equal to beta. Any periodic waveform is composed of an average DC component and a series of harmonically related sines or cosine waves. A harmonic is an integral multiple of the fundamental frequency. Fundamental frequency is the first harmonic and equal to the frequency repetition rate of the waveform. Second multiple is called second harmonic. Third multiple is called third harmonic, and so forth. Wave symmetry describes the symmetry of the waveform in the time domain, that is its relative position with respect to the horizontal time and vertical amplitude axis. Even symmetry. If a periodic voltage waveform is symmetric about the vertical axis, it is said to have axis or mirrors symmetry and is called an even function. For all even functions, the beta coefficients are 0. Even function satisfy the condition f of t is equal to f of minus t. Now let us see the odd symmetry. If a periodic voltage waveform is symmetric about a line midway between the vertical axis and the negative horizontal axis and passing through the coordinate origin, it is said to have point r skew symmetry and is called an odd function. For all odd functions, the alpha coefficients are 0. Odd function satisfies f of t is equal to minus f of minus t. See the figure. Now let us say half wave symmetry. If a periodic waveform is such that the waveform for the first half cycle repeats itself except with the opposite sign for the second half cycle, it is called to have half cycle symmetry. Half wave symmetry implies that the second half of the wave is exactly opposite to the first half. A function with half wave symmetry does not have to be even or odd, as this property requires only that the shifted signal is opposite half wave functions satisfy the condition f of t is equal to minus f of capital T plus small t divided by 2. Frequency spectrum and bandwidth. The frequency spectrum of a waveform consists of all the frequencies contained in the waveform and their respective amplitudes plotted in the frequency domain. Bandwidth of an information signal is simplified the bandwidth of an information signal is simplified the difference between the highest and lowest frequencies contained in the information, and bandwidth of the communication channel is the difference between the highest and the lowest frequencies that the channel will allow to pass through. Now let us say electrical noise and signal to noise ratio. Noise is any disturbance or distortion that comes in the process of communication. Electrical noise is defined as any undesirable electrical energy that falls within the pass band of the signal. A noise signal consists of a mixture of frequencies with random amplitudes. Noise can originate in various ways. The most prevalent and most interfering to data communication signals are man-made noise, thermal noise, correlated noise, and impulse noise. Now let us see man-made noise. It is the kind of noise produced by mankind. The main sources are spark producing mechanism like commutators in electronic motors, electric motors, automobile ignition systems, AC, power generating and switching equipment, and fluorescent lights. It is impulsive in nature and contains a wide range of frequencies propagated in the free space, like the radio waves. Man-made noise is most intense in a more densely populated area and sometimes is referred to as industrial noise. Next is thermal noise. This is the noise generated by the thermal agitation of the electrons in a conductor. It is also referred to as a white noise because of its uniform distribution across the entire electromagnetic frequency spectrum. Noise power density is the thermal noise power present in a 1 Hz bandwidth and is given by N0 is equal to kT. Thermal noise is independent of the frequency and thus thermal noise present in any bandwidth is, see the equation, where N is the thermal noise power in watts, K is Boltzmann's constant in joules per Kelvin, T is the conductor temperature in Kelvin, and B is the bandwidth in Hertz. Noise power is often measured in dBm. From the equation above, noise power in a resistor at room temperature in dBm is N dBm is equal to minus 174 dBm plus 10 log B. Correlated noise. This noise is correlated to the signal and cannot be present in a circuit unless this is a signal. Correlated noise is produced by nonlinear amplification and includes a harmonic distortion and intermodulation distortion. Harmonic distortion occurs when the unwanted harmonics of a signal are produced through a nonlinear amplification and is also called amplitude distortion. In modulation distortion, intermodulation distortion is the generation of unwanted sum and different frequencies produced when two or more signals are amplified in a non-linear device. Impulse noise. This noise is characterized by the high amplitude peaks of short duration in the total noise spectrum. It consists of sudden bursts of irregularly shaped pulses that generally last between a few milliseconds and several milliseconds depending on their amplitude and origin. In case of voice communications, impulse noise is very annoying as it generates a sharp popping or cracking sound, whereas it is devastating in data circuits. Now let us say signal to noise power ratio. Signal to noise ratio, often abbreviated as SNR or SRN, is defined as the ratio of signal power to the noise power corrupting the signal. A ratio higher than 1:1 indicates more signal than noise. Signal to noise ratio is defined as the power ratio between signal meaningful information and the background noise unwanted signal. See the equation. Now let us see analog modulation systems. A sine wave has three main components: amplitude, frequency and phase, and can be expressed as Vt is equal to V sine of 2 pi ft plus theta. If the information signal is analog and the amplitude V of the carrier is varied proportional to the informational signal, amplitude modulation is produced. If the frequency is varied proportional to the information signal, frequency modulation is produced, and if the theta is varied proportional to the information signal, phase modulation is produced. Frequency and phase modulation are similar and often combined and are simply called angle modulation. See the figure. The process of impressing relatively low frequency information signals onto a high frequency carrier signal is called modulation, and the reverse process is called demodulation. Analog modulation is used for transmission of conventional analog signals such as voice, music and video, and not particularly useful for data communication systems. Now let us see amplitude modulation. Amplitude modulation is the process of changing the amplitude of a relatively high frequency carrier signal in proportional to the instantaneous value of the modulating signal information. AM modulators are two input devices. One of them is a single relatively high frequency carrier signal of constant amplitude, and the second is the relatively low frequency information signal. The following figure shows the generation of AM waveforms when a single frequency modulating signal acts as a high frequency carrier signal. See the figure. Advantage of AM are simple to implement, need a circuit with very few components, and inexpensive. The disadvantages include the inefficient power usage and use of the bandwidth, and also prone to noise. The total bandwidth required for AM can be determined from the bandwidth of the audio signal. BAM is equal to 2B. Angle modulation. Angle modulation results whenever the phase angle of a sinusoidal signal is verified with respect to the time and includes the both FM and PM. Whenever the frequency of carrier signal is varied, the phase is also varied, and vice versa. If the frequency of the carrier is varied directly in accordance with the information signal, FM results, whereas if the phase is varied directly, PM results. See the figure. The above figure shows the FM and PM of the sinusoidal carrier by a single frequency modulating signal. Both the FM and PM waveforms are identical except for their time relationship. Phase with the FM, the maximum frequency deviation occurs during the maximum positive and negative peaks of the modulating signal. With the FM, the maximum frequency deviation occurs during the zero crossing in the modulating signal. See the figures. An important feature of FM and PM is that they can provide much better protection to the message against channel noise when compared to AM. Also, because of their constant amplitude nature, they can withstand nonlinear distortion and amplitude fading. Information capacity, bitrate, baud, and Mary encoding. Yeah. Information capacity is a measure of how much information can be propagated through a communication system and a function of bandwidth and transmission time. It represents the number of independent signals that can be carried through a system in a given unit of time. The most basic digital symbol used to represent information is the binary digit or bit. Bitrate is simply the number of bits transmitted during 1 second and is expressed as bits per second. Hartley developed a useful relationship among bandwidth, transmission time, and information capacity called Hartley's law, given by I is directly proportional to B into T, where I is the information capacity in BP. Yes, B is the bandwidth in hertz, and T is the transmission time in seconds. Relation between information capacity of a communication channel to bandwidth and signal to noise ratio is given by Claude E. Shannon. The higher the signal to noise ratio, the better the performance, and also information capacity is higher. The Shannon limit of information capacity is as shown below. See the equations, where I is the information capacity in bps, B is bandwidth in hertz, and SRN is the signal to noise ratio. MRE encoding. MRE is a term derived from the word binary. Simplified represents a digit that corresponds to the number of conditions, levels, or combinations possible for a given number of binary variables. For example, a digital signal with 4 possible conditions in an MRE system, that M is equal to 4, and if there are 8 possible conditions, then M is equal to 8. The number of bits necessary to produce a given number of conditions is expressed mathematically as N is equal to log 2 of M, or it can be written as M is equal to 2 to the power of N, where N is the number of bits necessary and M is the number of conditions, levels, or combinations possible with N bits. From the equation, it can be said that if there is 1 bit, only 2 to the power of 1 or 2 conditions are possible. For 2 bits, 2 to the power of 2 or 4 conditions are possible. Now let us see baud and minimum bandwidth. Baud, like bit rate, is a rate of change. Baud refers to the rate of the change of the signal on the transmission medium after encoding and modulation have occurred. Baud is the reciprocal of the time of one output signaling element and a signaling element may represent several information bits. Baud is also the transmitted one at a time, and L baud may represent more than one information bit, so the baud of the data communication system may be considerably less than the bit rate. According to H. Nyquist, binary digital signals can be propagated through an ideal noiseless medium at a rate equal to twice the bandwidth of the medium. The minimum theoretical bandwidth necessary to propagate a signal is called the minimum Nyquist bandwidth, or sometimes the Nyquist bandwidth. Using multi-level signaling, the Nyquist formulation for the channel capacity is Fb is equal to B log 2m, where Fb is the channel capacity in BPS, B is the minimum Nyquist bandwidth in Hertz, and m is the number of discrete signal or voltage levels. If n is substituted, we get B is equal to baud is equal to Fb by n, where n is the number of bits encoded into each signaling element. Now let us see digital modulation. Digital modulation is the transmission of digitally modulated analog signals between two or more points in a communication system. Analog and digital modulation system use analog carriers to transport information through the system, but digital modulation uses digital modulating information signal. Analog systems use analog signal only if V of t is equal to V sine of 2 pi f t plus theta. If the information signal is digital and amplitude V of the carrier is varied proportional to the information signal, a digitally modulated signal called amplitude shift keying ASK is produced. If the frequency f is varied proportional to the information signal, frequency shift keying is produced, and if the phase is varied proportional to the information signal, phase shift keying is produced. If both amplitudes and phase varied proportional to the information signal, quadrature amplitude modulation QAM results. See the figure here. Now let us say digital modulation is ideally suited to a multitude of communications applications, including both cable and wireless systems. Applications include relatively low speed voice band data communications systems, high speed data transmission systems, digital satellite communication systems, and personal communication systems. See the figure here. Now let us see amplitude shift keying. It is the simplest digital modulation technique where a binary information signal directly modulates the amplitude of an analog carrier. Only two output amplitudes are possible, and ASK is sometimes called a digital amplitude modulation DAM. Amplitude shift keying is given in mathematical terms as follows. See the equation where VASK T of t is amplitude shift keying wave, Vm of t is digital modulation modulating signal in volts, A by 2 is unmodulated carrier amplitude in volts, and Wc is analog carrier radian frequency in radian per second. See the figure here. In above equation for modulating signal, Vm of t logic 1 is represented by plus 1 volt and logic 0 is presented by minus 1 volt. So the modulated wave V ask of t is either a cos of WCT or 0, that is the carrier is either on or off. ASK is sometimes referred to as on off keying. The rate of the change of ASK waveform body is the same as the rate of the change of the binary input, making bit rate equal to baud with ASK. The bit rate is also equal to the minimum Nyquist bandwidth. See the figure here. Now let us see frequency shift keying. FSK is another simple low performance type of digital modulation. It is similar to FM except the modulating signal is a binary signal varying between two discrete voltage levels. FSK is sometimes called the binary FSK. FSK is generally expressed as, see the equation, where VFSK of t is binary FSK waveform, VC is the Peak analog carrier amplitude in volts. Fc is analog carrier center frequency in hertz. F is the peak change or shift in the analog carrier frequency, and Vm of t is the binary input modulating signal in units. For logic 1, Vmt is equal to +1, and for logic 0, Vmt is equal to -1, reducing the equation to Vfsk of t is equal to Vc cos of 2 pi in modulus of fc plus f into t, and Vfsk of t is equal to Vc cos of 2 pi modulus of fc minus f into t. As the binary signal changes from a logic 0 to logic 1 and vice versa, the output frequency shifts between two frequency, a mark or a logic 1 frequency fm and a space or logic 0 frequency fs. The mark and the space frequencies are separated from the carrier frequency by the peak frequency deviation and from each other by 2f. See the figure here. With FSK, frequency deviation is defined as the difference between either the mark or the space frequency and the center frequency, at half the difference between the mark and the space frequencies. Frequency deviation can be expressed as f is equal to modulus of fm minus fs divided by 2. The baud for BFSK is determined by placing n is equal to 1, that is baud is equal to fb by 1 is equal to fb. The minimum bandwidth for FSK is determined from the following equation. Therefore, B is equal to 2 into F plus FB, where B is the minimum Nyquist bandwidth in hertz and F is the frequency deviation and FB is the input bit rate. Now let us see phase shift keying. Phase shift keying is a digital modulation scheme that conveys data by changing or modulating the phase of the reference signal. The carrier wave PSK uses a finite number of phases, each is assigned a unique pattern of binary digits. Usually each phase encodes an equal number of bits. PSK is not susceptible to the noise degradation that affects ASK and are to the bandwidth limitations of FSK. Now let us see binary phase shift keying. The simplest PSK technique is called binary phase shift keying, where L is equal to 1, M is equal to 2. Therefore, with BPSK, two phases are possible for the carrier. It uses two opposite signal phases, 0 and 180 degrees. The digital signal is broken up time-wise into individual bits, binary digits. The state of each bit is determined according to the state of the preceding bit. If the phase of the wave does not change, then the signal state stays the same, 0 or 1. If the phase of the wave changes by 180 degrees, that is, if the phase reverses, then the signal state changes from 0 to 1 or 1 to 0, because there are two possible wave phases. BPSK is sometimes called biphase modulation or phase reversal keying, PRK. See the figure. More sophisticated forms of PSK exist in MRE or multiple phase shift keying. There are more than two phases, usually 4, 0 plus 90 minus 90 and 180, or 8, 0, 45 minus 45 plus 90 minus 90, 135 minus 135 and 180 degrees. If there are 4 phases, M is equal to 4, the MSK mode is called quadrature phase shift keying or quaternary phase shift keying, and each phase shift represents two signal elements. If there are 8 phases, the MPSK mode is known as octal phase shift keying, and each phase shift represents 3 signal elements. If MPSK data can be transmitted at a faster rate relative to the number of phase changes per unit time, then is the case in BPSK. QPSK is a MRE encoding scheme where n is equal to 2, m is equal to 4, which has 4 output phases are possible for a single carrier frequency needing four different input conditions with 2 bits. There are 4 possible conditions 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0 and 1, 1. With QPSK, the binary input data are combined into groups of 2 bits called die bits. See the figure. The above figure shows the output phase versus time relationship truth table and the cancellation diagram for QPSK. A phase of 0 now represents 0, 0, 90 represents 0, 1, 180 represents 1, 0 and 270 represents 1, 1. Data can be transmitted twice as efficiently using 4 PSK than 2 PSK. With 8 PSK, 3 bits are encoded, forming 3 bits and producing 8 different output phases with 8 PSK. N is equal to 3, M is equal to 8, and the minimum bandwidth and the baud equal 1/3 the bit rate FB by 3. 8 PSK is 3 times as efficient as 2 PSK. See the figure. With 16 PSK, 4 bits called quad bits are combined, producing 16 different output phases with 16 PSK. N is equal to 4, M is equal to 16, and the minimum bandwidth and baud equal 1/4 the bit rate FB by 4. See the figure here. Now let us see quadrature amplitude modulation CAM. PSK is limited by the ability of the equipment to distinguish small differences in phase. Bandwidth limitations make combinations of FSK with other changes practically useless. Quadrature amplitude modulation is a combination of ASK and PSK so that a maximum contrast between each signal unit bit, D bit, tree bit and so on is achieved. QAM is used extensively as a modulation scheme for digital telecommunication systems. The primary advantage of QAM over PSK is immunity to transmission impairments, especially phase impairments that are inherent in all communication systems. In 4 QAM and 8 QAM, number of amplitude shifts is fewer than the number of phase shifts because amplitude changes are susceptible to noise and require greater shift differences than to phase changes. The number of phase shifts used by QAM system is always larger than the number of amplitude shifts. See the figure here. With 16 QAM, there are 12 phases and 3 amplitudes that are combined to produce 16 different output conditions. With QAM, there are always more phases possible than amplitude. Bandwidth frequency. Bandwidth frequency is often used to compare the performance of one digital modulation technique to another. It is the ration of transmission bit rate to the minimum bandwidth required for a particular modulation scheme, mathematically represented as follows. See the equation. Now see the table here. Now let us see trellis code modulation. Data transmission rate in excess of 56 kbps can be achieved over standard telephone circuits using an encoding scheme called the trellis code modulation TCM, developed by Dr. Anger Bock. It combines encoding and modulation to reduce the portability of error, thus improving the bit error performance, and it uses conventional tree codes. Trellis coding defines the manner in which signal state transitions are allowed to occur. The transitions that do not follow this pattern are interpreted as transmission errors. TCM can improve error performance by restricting the manner in which signals are allowed to transition. TCM improves on standard QAM by increasing the distance between symbols on the constellation called Euclidean distance. See the figure here. See the figures here. See the assignment questions here.